Quanah Parker was the last chief of the Comanches. Parker was born in 1845 to Peter Nocuna and Cynthia Ann Parker, a white captive of the Comanches. Quanah Parker had a brother, Pecos, and a sister, Topsana, also known as Prairie Flower. Parker's father was killed in 1860 defending a camp, and his mother and sister were captured and imprisoned during the raid until they died from disease. He soon relied on family members to help him. The Treaty of Medicine Lodge was signed in 1867 by many different Native tribes leaders. The treaty was signed to move tribes to Indian Territory, or Oklahoma, though the Quad-Hattie refused. They continued to be hostile and raided white settlements. U.S. officials began to move buffalo hunters to the plains to rid the land of the Comanches' primary food source, buffalo, to either lead them to starve or move them to reservations. During the Battle of the Adobe Walls in June of 1875, warriors attacked buffalo hunters in retaliation. Quanah Parker fought in the battle, and within a year, the Quad-Hattie surrendered to reservation life. Parker's popularity had risen, and the leader at the time thought he could influence the people to adapt because of his mixed ancestry, though some refused him as leader because of that. The U.S. Army moved the Kiowa and Comanche tribes to the southwestern Oklahoma. Most of the Indians found the transition difficult. Quanah was one of those who found it easy to adapt to reservation life. Federal agents named him chief, without contest from other Comanches. Parker became a wealthy stock raiser after development and promoted the ranching industry. He supported education for the children and others. Parker was an assimilationist, meaning he wanted cooperation with white and cultural transformation. Parker was often a judge at tribal court and a negotiator. It was March 1869 in western Texas. 2 regiments formed the 24th Infantry Regiment and stationed at Forts McCavitt, Davis, Concho, and Stockton in the West Texas region. They fought the Comanche Indians of northwestern Texas, along with many other tribes. They provided security for settlers and maintained law and order. For more than 10 years, the 24th Infantry played a role in defeating the Comanches and providing settlers a safe place to settle in. The U.S. Army was reoriented after the Civil War. 6 regiments were established for black enlisted men, including 4 infantry regiments, numbered 38th through 41st. In March 1869, the 39th and 40th regiments were merged to create the 25th. It took place in New Orleans, and were then sent to Texas. The regiment stayed in Texas until 1880. Then they moved north, and stayed there until the late 1890s. Later in the decade, it served in the disputes that opposed owners against the Western Federation of Miners, the Idaho Mining War of 1892. The units were then dispersed until 1897, when they were assigned back together at Fort Douglas. Cavalry was one of the original 6 regiments established for black men. The regiment participated in many campaigns against the Comanche and Apache tribes. They also made sure that land was safe before settlers settled in it. They were involved in the Wyoming Cattle War and railroad labor disputes. 11 members of this regiment received the Medal of Honor. The 10th Cavalry was also one of the original 6 regiments. The 10th Cavalry Unit served against the Cheyenne in Kansas and then against the Kiowa and Comanche. They also participated in World War I, but saw no action in World War II, so it was deactivated. 180,000 African Americans fought in the Civil War in segregated regiments, or units known as the Buffalo Soldiers, who were best known for fighting in the Indian Wars on the American western frontier. The Army gave many African Americans a chance to be educated, so this was a big career choice. The Buffalo Soldiers got their well-known name fighting in wars against the Native Americans. Some say that the Indians gave it to them because they thought their curly, coarse hair resembled that of the buffaloes, but others say that they gave it to them because their fighting spirit was strong like a buffalo's. Either way, the African Americans took it as a name of honor. Speaking of honor, the Buffalo Soldiers won 19 Medals of Honor during the Indian Wars, and a Medal of Honor is the highest military honor in the U.S.